So, we've always heard this thing, no, use your brains, yeah. I've been told this many, many times, use your brains. So I thought I would do a talk about exactly how to do that. Yeah? Using your brain. Salman, can you stop playing with that and actually move to the next slide? So I have a question for you. How much is a billion? Dhaval, please don't answer. How much is a billion? Yeah, it is 1 followed by 9 zeros. But to give you a perspective, 1 billion seconds ago, it was 1983. Return of the Jedi, one of my favorite Star Wars movies was playing. And 1 billion minutes ago, Jesus was still alive. And 1 billion hours ago, it was the Stone Age. 4.5 billion years ago, our earth was just being formed. So you can imagine that 1 billion is a hell of a big number. Yeah, we just say billions and billions like that only, no? But 1 billion is a very big number, right? And do you know what that is? Yeah, it's a neuron. We have 100 billion neurons in our head. 100 billion. Yes? And each neuron has those little string kind of things coming out. Those are called dendrites. Each neuron has 2,000 to 10,000 dendrites. And those dendrites interact with each other in many, many permutations and combinations, the number of which is bigger than the number of elementary particles in the universe. So you've got a whole universe sitting in there. Yes? And most of us really don't know how to use it. Okay. So let's see how learning happens. How does the concept, how does the funda of learning happen? So it's either through the 5 senses, you hear something, you see something, you smell something, taste something, or you read something, or you write something, or you practice, or you discuss, or through emotion. Some emotion happens and you learn. Okay? So one of these 10 things need to happen, or combinations thereof, and then things happen in your brain and you learn. Okay? There is no 11th way. One of these things or combinations thereof have to happen, and therefore what we call learning happens. Right? Now, that's an artist's impression of what's inside your head. And those big blobs are the neurons and the strings are the dendrites. And now what exactly happens when you learn is, one neuron ka dendrite connects with another neuron ka dendrite through something called a synapse. Okay, it's like an electric current. And then it connects elsewhere and connects elsewhere and connects elsewhere, and a kind of a circuit is formed. So when you do something again and again, a kind of a circuit is formed in your brain. And that means that you have learnt it. Okay, now when you do it more times, then that particular circuit is covered with a layer of fat. Who says fat is bad? Yeah, and it becomes faster. So you go from 2G speed to 3G speed through 4G speed. So someone wakes you up in the middle of the night and tells you what is your name, you say it right away, because that circuitry is very, very strong in your head. Okay, or when you're going to start how to drive, it's all, you're paying attention to so many things. But once you know how to drive, because the circuitry is so strong, you don't have to think about it. Okay, so that's how learning happens. Cool? It's just a matter of your dendrites making the right connections and then strengthening the connections. That's it. That's what learning is all about. Okay? Now, it's interesting to note that you remember only 10% of what you read. Yeah? 20% of what you hear. And so on. 50% of what you see and hear. So hopefully you're going to remember 50% of this talk. Yeah? But 70% of what you discuss with others. So if you go out and actually talk, what did Bawa say? Then you're going to get 70%. But 95% of what you teach. So I'm going to remember 95% of my talk. Right? Because I'm teaching. Okay? So teaching is a very cool way of making yourself popular and keeping the material with yourself. Okay? Next. So I thought I will go over some tips, ingenuity, pioneering ingenuity in studies. Yeah, everybody says, no, use your brain. Dinesh and I have been teaching Art of Living courses now for the last 24 years, and the most often asked question is, I can't focus, I can't concentrate, how do I study? Right? So I thought I would just go over a few tips on how we studied, and you know, so there is a, wait, hello. There is a conscious part of your brain and an unconscious part of your brain. There is a focused way of studying, like a laser, yeah, and a diffused way. So when you sit to work for a little period of time, I would say half an hour to an hour, you are using your brain 100%. You are really focused there, okay? But this way is not going to allow you to solve really complex problems. So what you need to do is you need to focus and work, and after that, you need to go and do something else. Go for a walk, play with your dog, call your girlfriend, whatever. Yeah? So that your subconscious has a chance to assimilate what you have done so far. You know, many people say, oh, I studied 6 hours continuously. You wasted your time. Okay? Because after an hour, you just generally switched off. You just sat and looked at your books. It doesn't work. Okay? So don't study more than an hour. Then you take a break for about half an hour. Then you study again for an hour. Then you take a break for another half an hour. Then you study for an hour, and so on. Of course, you don't do the other way around. Study for half an hour, take a break for 1 hour. Okay? Yeah. Now, one thing to remember is that your dendrites grow for exactly what you do. So if you watch Dawal, for example, do complicated maths, you will not be able to do the complicated maths. You will only be able to watch him do the complicated maths. Are you getting what I'm saying? If you watch me play the piano, you will not be able to play the piano. Your dendrites will grow for watching someone how to play the piano. Yes? So it is very important that you actually do what you need to learn. It's not enough that you watch other people doing what you need to learn. Okay? Second, remember to repeat, repeat to remember. If you want to remember something, repeat it. You are enhancing your mental circuitry. Okay? Now, it is not enough that you just repeat something 20 times in a day. It doesn't work that way. So you repeat it once, then you repeat it the next day, then you repeat it the third day, then you give a break. Then you repeat it again on the 5th day, then you give a break, then you repeat it on the 7th day. If you do this like for 15 days, that material will be with you forever, literally. So instead of reading the same thing or repeating the same thing in one day, it's better to space it out. Okay, this is the reason why you need to study a little before 2 nights before your exam. Yeah, if you give yourself the time, the material is going to stay with you. All right. Finally, forgetting is good for you, not on an exam, but forgetting means that those electrical signals that were created in your brain, that circuitry that was created in your brain for a particular fact, has become a little fuzzy. So when you go back to that material and read it, because you have forgotten it, it becomes even stronger. So you are upgrading from 2G to 3G. Okay? Okay? So these 3 things, please remember. 1, dendrites grow for what you are doing. So you want to learn how to solve a physics problem, you need to solve a physics problem. It's no point watching a YouTube video about how to solve that physics problem. Won't work. Okay? Repeat to remember. Remember to repeat. And forgetting is good. Do you notice what we just did? We repeated. Okay, cool, good. Next. Recognize that one? The Dark Lord. The one habit that screws you. I'll do it later. You know what is procrastination? Procrastination is simply your mind saying, this is unpleasant. Can we please do something pleasant? I hate economics. Can we go have an ice cream instead? Procrastination is simply your mind wanting to have something more interesting to do than what you are doing right now. Okay. So now how to beat the habit of procrastination? Well, for the one ring, you need Frodo. Right? Start now. That's the most important thing. Do it now. Whatever it is that you are postponing, whatever that unpleasant thing that you have to do, anyway you have to do it now. So start now. Okay. Second, take it small. You have a whole physics textbook to go through. You don't need to do the entire physics textbook in one go. Do the first theorem. Do the first problem. Small bits. Rest. Let your subconscious assimilate. And because you did this, give yourself a reward. So that then your brain starts thinking, oh, when I do physics, I get a chocolate. Yay, let's do physics. Do you get it? You need to fool your brain into thinking that this is actually interesting. This is actually nice. So whatever you don't like, start doing it now. Right? Do it a little at a time. Take a break. Let your subconscious work. And then remember to reward yourself. Okay? Do something that you really enjoy after that. Then that pattern comes in, then that circuitry comes in, and you will actually look forward to doing that. Okay? Got it? Yes? So this is the way to break procrastination. By the way, procrastination is one of the worst things that can happen to you, because you know it builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up, and I know people who have actually dropped out of their degrees because they procrastinated one homework. Okay? Because that 1 became 2, 2 became 4, 4 became 8. Suddenly it was just too much to handle. Alright? So take it seriously. Yeah. One very interesting thing to do, to remember, is to write. It's very important to write. A lot of us type. Don't type, write. When you write, you are again generating certain things in your head which make it stronger, which make the material stronger for you. Practice, recall and test. So, you know, you're sitting with your book, right? And you are reading it, you read it 3 times, I know this. Okay, close your book and say it out. Then you realize you don't know it. It's very easy to say it with your book open. It's not so easy to do it with the book closed, book away from you. Okay? It is said that 1 hour of practice, recall and testing is worth 10 hours of study. So make sure you test yourself. Ask yourself uncomfortable questions about your about what you're studying. Okay? And finally, intertwine. Intertwine means take 3-4 different subjects during the day. So the first 1 hour, say you have done economics. The next 1 hour you do accounts. The third 1 hour you do your social sciences. You need to intertwine, and then you come back to your economics. Because that is giving the subconscious brain, your diffuse state, time to assimilate what you have done. Okay? So remember to intertwine whatever you are doing. Maybe you are studying only one subject. Take different parts, different chapters of that subject and study. Don't sit with only one thing. That is the trick. Okay? Because you need to give your subconscious, your diffuse state of thinking, some time to assimilate what you are learning. Okay? Finally, you need to discuss. Yeah? From studying by yourself, now you need to get into a group. You need to talk. And then you need to teach. Remember, teaching makes it 95% yours. Okay? Whatever you teach, you will not forget. Yeah? You know, in IIT, we used to sit and do like parts of a subject. 4 or 5 of us would do, one guy would do the first 3 chapters, next person would do the next 3 chapters and so on. And what would normally take a whole semester to finish, we would finish in 15 days. Because I would teach that guy would teach the other guy, and so on. Right? So, teaching in a group, discussion is super important for study. Alright? Yes? Okay. Even in a group, remember to intertwine. Just don't sit and do only one thing. Keep changing the subjects. Yeah? Fine. Now, these were tips. Now we go on to hacks. You can hack your brain. Okay? The number 1 hack for a brain is to meditate. Yeah? There is so much research now that has been done about meditation. It is amazing why people don't do it. Yeah? What meditation is doing is, it secretes these 2 hormones called serotonin and oxytocin. Serotonin and oxytocin are the happiness hormones. Your neurons love being happy. Yeah? That is why people who meditate are more productive, more creative, more efficient than people who don't. Okay? So the act of meditation allows you to secrete those hormones in your system. You are flooded with serotonin, you are flooded with oxytocin. Therefore you are feeling happy, and when you are happy you are productive. Can you be productive when you are feeling miserable, angry, tired, frustrated? Not really, right? You need to be focused. For focus, you need some sort of peace, some sort of happiness, right? Meditation gives you that. Take some time off, learn meditation, and then practice meditation. This is the biggest hack you can do for your brain. Okay? The second, amazingly, is sleep. Now, 20% of the energy that your body produces is used by the brain. Anytime energy is used, waste product is generated. Right? The waste product that is generated by the brain, you can call it brain shit, is called beta aniline. Okay? And beta aniline is an open invitation to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Now, how the brain manages to remove this beta aniline is through something called cerebrospinal fluid, CSF. So the CSF goes into the brain and flushes it out, goes into the brain and flushes it. It happens every minute or so. The only problem is when you are awake and doing something, there is so much of neural activity that the CSF cannot go all the way in. When you sleep, the activity reduces and the interstitial space, meaning the space between the tissues of the brain, increases by almost 60%. So the CSF can go in and remove that. Go in and remove that. So what is happening when you are sleeping is your brain shit is being removed. Now just imagine, you stayed up all night and you're going for an exam. You're going for an exam with a brain full of poo. No wonder you don't function. It's like giving an exam sitting in a toilet, which didn't flush. Have you got it? So sleep. Please sleep. This is good news for all of us. Don't sleep in lectures, sleep at night. Okay? Yes? Sleep. It's super important. Super, super, super important. You know, I was actually going to do this entire TED talk only on sleeping, but then they all convinced me, no, do it on studying. Yeah? There is so much more we can talk about sleep. But in a nutshell, sleep. It's important. 8 hours in 24 hours. You know, I say 8 hours a day and people sleep in the day. So 8 hours in 24 hours, you should for sure be sleeping. Huh? Get rid of that brain poo. The third hack is amazingly exercise. Yeah? It was thought till the early 2000s that you're born with those 100 billion neurons, but after that, those neurons start dying. As you age, the neurons start dying. That is why your brain becomes slower and slower as you age. Turns out that when you exercise, there is a part in your brain called the hippocampus which actually generates new neurons. So exercise not only keeps your body young, it keeps your brain young. Meditation makes you happy. Sleep gives you a clean brain. Exercise rejuvenates your brain. It not just rejuvenates, it refreshes your brain. More neurons come. Yeah, so you can do more stuff. Alright? Finally, there is something called a mind map. Now, today I have given you a hell of a lot of information, right? So many tips of studying, so many neurons in your head, so many things I talked about, right? Now, if you reach under your seat, hopefully there should be a mind map of this lecture. Yes? So, in one piece of paper, all the information that I have said is there for you. If you look at it, in 2 minutes you can recall my entire 20-minute talk. Okay? Just imagine if you could mind map one chapter of your economics textbook. On the day before the exam, you would not have to look at a 400-page book, you would have to look at 20 pages. Nicely colorful, summarized, and ready for you to revive whatever you have done. Okay? This is perhaps the most important thing that I could tell you to learn how to do. Learn how to mind map and learn how to use mind maps. Okay? Cool? That's it. Today's talk has been accepted from a book that I finally managed to write. Dinesh and I finally managed to write. It's called Ready, Study, Go. It's coming out in November. This is just maybe 2 chapters from that book. It's got 24 chapters. Okay? So when it comes out, please buy it and read it, and hopefully your studying becomes much more pleasurable, much more enjoyable, and you actually remember what you studied in the first year, in the 4th year. Okay? All the best. Check you there.